Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
I want to talk about something that's been really exciting around here, and that is our partnership with our friends at Ford. Ford Motor Company and your North Texas Ford, or your Texas Ford dealers have announced an expanded sponsorship of the UIL State Championships, solidifying Ford as the official automotive sponsor of the UIL. As part of the new commitment, Ford will now support all UIL extracurricular activities, including athletic, academic, and music state championship competitions. In addition to the sponsorship, Ford is celebrating the 20th anniversary of the prestigious Built Ford Tough Player of the Week Award and Player of the Year Award. This campaign has become one of the most celebrated in Texas high school sports, recognizing standout athletes, student athletes, for their on-field performance, leadership, and commitment to excellence. Ford will honor some of the most decorated players who have received the award over the years, with a special focus being on their achievements both in high school and beyond. Guys like Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, all former Built Ford Tough Players of the Year, and we're partnering with them to amplify that. Dave Campbell's Texas Football, we're going to be amplifying the celebration through our partnership through all of our different platforms, so Texan Live, as well as here on this program and over the course of our social media as well, and TexasFootball.com. We're really, really excited to be partnering with Ford to help celebrate all of the things in Texas high school sports across the landscape. So more to come on that. There's more information on TexasFootball.com, but we're so thrilled to announce that partnership in Texas and the Texas Ford Dealers' expanded partnership as the official automotive sponsor of or partner of the UIL State Championships. We certainly are very, very excited about the future there.
Hello and welcome in to the Dave Campbell's College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Yates, and joining me from beautiful Austin, Texas is senior writer Mike Craven. Craven, we were thinking about doing a little bit of a fantasy football draft today. It's not just NFL that can do fantasy. It's us. We can do it. We can do all 13 Texas FBS teams, pick players from all of those teams, and keep track of it as the season goes along. Before we even get to our draft, because we've prepared our teams before we got on here, what's our scoring criteria for this? We're not just picking the best players, we're picking them by best production. So how do you want to do this?
I say we go position by position, right? We find what we want to measure for quarterbacks, for running backs, for wide receivers. We just see who wins each position group, and there's 7 position groups. And so, it'd be a best of 7 situation. If I win 4 of the position groups, I win, type of situation. That way we don't have to come up with some weird way to like tackles mean the same as yards. And so it's not wide receivers matter more than defensive linemen. If we go who wins each position group, I think we can come up with a solid way to score this.
I love that. So we are going to pick 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 defensive line, 1 linebacker, and 1 defensive back. And we're going to check in on this at regular intervals throughout the season, maybe like quarter marks, we should say. So let's start off with the quarterbacks. I selfishly wanted to give you the first pick because I think there are a lot of quarterbacks to choose from, and I think there are fewer running backs to choose from. So I want first pick on running backs. Let's give you first pick on quarterbacks. First off, what's our point criteria for this? Is it like 6 points every touchdown?
Yeah, I say we do it. I say we do it like the NFL, like a normal fantasy football situation here. A point for every 10 yards, 6 for a touchdown, maybe -1 or 2 for an interception. Rushing touchdowns should count. I think rushing stuff should count, obviously. So yeah, we can look up like the basic ESPN NFL fantasy football metric and do it for, because I think the offensive ones are easy. We just do it the way that they would do it in a normal fantasy thing. It's the defense that we'll have to really lock in and figure out. And so since it's a production draft, and also I think we should each have to have a G5 player on the team somewhere.
Oh, 100%.
So one of your players, and I think there'll be like 10. We'll each have 10 players. One of those players has to be a G5 player. So that'll be part of it as well. So
let me tell you, that's easy. Going through this list, there's plenty of G5 guys we can pick.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder just with the transfer portal and folks moving up. But yeah, I think that's a good rule. Have to have a G6 player in there. So I have first pick. And also, before we start this, are you a fantasy football player? Is this a thing that you do?
Yes, I am a Dynasty League fantasy football player.
Okay.
I keep my team every year and draft rookies on that. Actually, funny backstory is my Dynasty Fantasy Football League draft was during coaching school because the sickos in my league wanted it to be on the Sunday, July 20th. So we were out on the Riverwalk and my phone just kept ringing off the hook every time my pick was up. It was one of the more chaotic draft scenarios I've ever had in my life.
But you got it done.
Barely. I auto-picked the first pick overall.
Nice. I am not a fantasy football player. I think as people who listen to this show know, I am a gambler. I gamble on the games, and I just find it maddening if I also have to worry about like individual play. You know, like if I have Cowboys +4, I don't want to be worrying about like if Des Bryant also needs to be catching balls or not. I know that's a dated reference, but like that. I'm not a huge fantasy football player, so you may have the inherent advantage here as a grizzled vet of fantasy football. But with my first pick, we're going quarterbacks, and we're going to do this position by position. So you can't just pick a linebacker or whatever. Like we're going position by position. My first pick for quarterback, I'm going Josh Hoover.
That was my number one pick too.
TCU. I called it last year when we did kind of a similar type idea here where we kind of picked who we thought were going to be the most prolific players at each position. I said, watch out for Josh Hoover. TCU is going to give him the rock. He's going to throw the ball over the yard. He's got a lot of good wide receivers. I think that's mostly true again in 2025. They want to be more balanced, but being more balanced could just be 65-35, right? Like if they get more balanced than last year, that doesn't mean that they're going to be actually balanced. He's going to throw the ball a lot. I like his wide receivers, even though they're mostly new. Eric McAllister, Jordan Dwyer, Joseph Manjack. Those are good players. Rodgers is back to the tight end. I think he's going to throw the ball a lot. I think he's going to be really productive, have over 3,500 yards. Give me Josh Hoover for the first pick.
He broke the TCU single season passing record last year with 3,949 yards. And that was after missing the entire spring ball period. Comes back with Kendall Briles, third-year offensive coordinator. And I agree on the balanced offense point. I'm just not convinced TCU is going to be this 50-50 ball club with this running back room that it's got right now. They're going to go by committee, it seems like, and they believe their offensive line has improved to where their run game can also improve, but I still think this is going to be a Josh Hoover heavy team. So I love that pick. I'm going to get my first G5 pick off the board. I'm going Owen McCown from UTSA. He was quietly one of the better quarterbacks in all group of five last year. We all thought that UTSA was going to be a defensive-led team, and it really turned into Owen McCown, please save us last year. I love the offensive line they got coming back. If the injury bug doesn't bite them again with Venli Tatafu and Corey Godinette, both returning from surgery, got the tackles that are so experienced. Jalen Garth, who you mentioned, played with Roshan Johnson at PNG, Kamar, Missouri. And then the wide receiver skill position players, very exciting with Devin McEwen and David Amador. They're also going to have to score 45 points a game, I believe, because the defense is a total question mark.
Yeah, that's probably the underlying reason here is they're going to be in some shootouts. They're going to have to be in some shootouts. Owen McCown's going to have to be the guy. He runs better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. Like, he's going to give you a couple rushing touchdowns and some yards on the ground as well. So a really good pick. And if you're going to do the G6 spot, I have to get better at that. The G6 spot, quarterback's a really good way to go.
Real quick on McCown, what is the update on the Memphis playbook situation? Because I saw that all over at AAC Media Days. It sounds like Owen McCown did, from my end, it doesn't feel like he did anything wrong. You can't help if a guy just DMs you a playbook or a play. Like, what happened there?
Yeah, they were high school teammates. Him and the former Memphis player that sent the playbook over. I think, and they didn't, to my knowledge, didn't give any more light to this. I think the tough part is you don't know when the dates were that those were getting sent. Like, how close to the UTSA game was those plays from? Like, was it the previous years? Was it the previous spring? Like, I have no idea on that. I think any backlash, any taking issue with it has to come from the player who shared that stuff.
Of course.
To your point, like, what is Owen McCown supposed to do? And, the UTSA coaches have said they never saw the playbook. Traylor, told me at coaching school that it was kind of asinine, the whole situation. Sounds like Satterfield doesn't think that it's a big deal, that the AAC commissioner doesn't think it's a big deal. So I don't think anything's going to come of it. I think it was one of those July internet talking season stories that is probably a precursor to something that's going to happen more and more in the portal era. You just have so much more movement that this is probably something to really take account if you're a coach, and just know as players leave, you need to update stuff and keep it all revolving, because this could happen. So, but I don't think anything more of it's, I don't think McCown's going to like miss time or anything like that. So, you leave me with a impossible choice here. The quarterback position in Texas is stacked. Like, Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, Kevin Jennings at SMU, Arch Manning obviously at Texas. Oh man, I didn't think I would have all of these options here. I thought you were going to take either Arch or Sawyer. Oh, it's your pick. It's a snake draft.
Yeah, sorry, I already got caught in the snake. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my bad. Sorry, guys. Bad podcasting, but we're going back and forth, alternating who gets first pick. But within those picks, we do a snake draft, so we're all sorts of caught in the snake. I know there's so many options to pick here. I am going to go Baylor quarterback Sawyer Robertson. I just think, talking to Matt Wilson yesterday, between two Bears, you can check out the preview podcast on Baylor's 2025 team. They have so many weapons. They're going to have a balanced offense with Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass for sure, but also Josh Cameron out at wide receiver, Michael Trigg at tight end. I just think there's so many guys that Sawyer Robertson can get the ball to. And in the second year of Jake Spavital's system, he's just at home in that air raid. So I think if Baylor is going to be a dark horse Big 12 championship pick, like Matt Wilson kind of thinks they're going to be, that means Sawyer Robertson is absolutely balling out. So I'm going Sawyer Robertson there.
Okay. I need everybody to remember that this is a production draft. And when we put out the graphic, people won't read the fine print, and I'm going to get a lot of questions for this. I'm going Behren Morton, Texas Tech, with my some of this is the Mac Leftwich deal. Like, I think that they're going to put up a lot of yards, a lot of points. They're going to be more explosive and vertical down the field. Like, if you look at where his quarterbacks have ended up, they've been ultra productive. TJ Finley, Lindsey Scott back to UIW. Jordan McLeod last year was a top 20 quarterback in most statistical categories. No Taj Brooks for Texas Tech. And so I think that they're going to throw the ball a lot. He's going to put up a lot of yards. He was a big time quarterback last year from a production standpoint. Health is a question mark. That is the one concern of mine is, will he be able to stay healthy? The offensive line should be better. So maybe that helps him stay healthy, keeps him more upright. Give me Behren Morton for my next pick for quarterback.
What was your toughest pick to leave off? Because mine was whoever starts at North Texas. I had that written down.
Yeah, whoever starts at North Texas is good. And I think Arch Manning's going to put up a ton of production. Steve Sarkisian's I mean, I think he's probably the best play caller, one of the top 5 play callers in college football. Arch is going to run the ball. Like, he's going to get some running touchdowns and some yards there. Like, I think close to the goal line, they're going to use him. And so I think he's going to put up, I think Arch could be a Heisman finalist. I'm just not that schedule is tougher, and they're going to run the ball with, CJ Baxter and Trey Wisner. And so I don't know if he's going to put up like air raid Big 12 type quarterback numbers. But I think Arch Manning's going to have a big year.
We're going to get skewered on this graphic for not having Arch Manning on there.
100%.
I saw there were some comments in one of our recent YouTube videos about the Power 4 podcast preview where we got accused of being some SEC homers. If you ever wanted evidence that we're not SEC homers, we don't have Arch Manning on this pick.
Yeah.
Maybe we overthought it, but
Yeah, it's possible. It is possible. But Baron Morton doesn't have to go to Ohio State, to Georgia, to Florida, and play Oklahoma on a neutral site, right? Like, some of it's a little easier to throw the rock around against, Iowa State and BYU and stuff than it is those teams that I mentioned.
100%. So we're going to running backs now. Reminder, I'm going to get the 1st and 4th pick. Craven's going to get 2 and 3 here. I just talked about how we're not SEC Glazers, but I'm going CJ Baxter at Texas for this pick. Look, he's bigger than Roschon Johnson was a couple of years ago. He's an absolute man. He was the first true freshman to start at Texas since Ricky Williams, started over Jonathan Brooks back when he was fully healthy. I read his Players Tribune article before we recorded this podcast. It got me fired up, talking about him being mentored by Jordan Whittington on how to be a team player and what it takes to win at the college level. Oh, by the way, Sark has had a 1,000-yard rusher every season. He's been the offensive coordinator or head coach since 2009. And I know the one question about this pick is, well, 1, the health, but 2, that Trey Wisner is there, and he was a 1,000-yard rusher. I think they'll go mirror each other and mesh perfectly well. I mean, I saw Anwar Richardson was pointing it out on his show this morning, but Trey Wisner had a great year, but he was 24th in the SEC with 4.71 yards per carry. So it wasn't, I don't think Trey Wisner did enough to where he's the clear-cut number 1 back and CJ Baxter is the backup. I think it's going to be a dual starter role, if not CJ Baxter taking over that role as the season rolls along.
Yeah, I think CJ Baxter is going to lead Texas in rushing. I think he's going to be the missing component from the red zone.
He's going to be a goal line touchdown vulture.
Right.
Which is going to help me a lot.
Right. He is going to get a lot. And I think, even contrary to the point I made earlier about Arch Manning being a red zone threat, I think they're going to try to save Arch on some of that stuff. Like in high leverage moments, Arch Manning is going to run the ball if that's what Sark wants to do. But I do think a lot of times, like in games that aren't maybe, 10-10 in the 4th quarter, you save your quarterback. You don't rush him for no reason. You give CJ Baxter to the ball. And I do think he's going to do, I'm just not sure he's not going to put up 1,500 yards. And maybe those days are gone. Like, there's not many running backs anymore that are going to put up 1,500 yards because of Trey Wisner, because of Arch Manning running the football. Even guys like Jarrett Gibson, like they are loaded. Like, Texas has a really big, awesome running back room. But I'm going to throw all of those reasons out the window and pick another guy that you could say the exact same things about. I'm going Le'Veon Moss, Texas A&M. Marcel Reed's going to eat some of his yards. Reuben Owens is going to eat some of his yards if healthy. Amari Daniels, like, that is a really stacked running back room as well. But he was on his way to being the SEC leading rusher last year before he was injured late on in the year. Seems like he's going to be healthy and he's back. I think they're going to run the crap out of the football, with Marcel Reed being the quarterback there, who probably not the greatest passer in the world, but is an extra helmet to the run game, and that will give the running backs of A&M some more space and some more opportunities. I think Le'Veon Moss is awesome. So I'm going Le'Veon Moss with my first running back pick. And then in the snake, I can't believe he fell to me. I'm taking Bryson Washington.
I know. He probably should have been my first pick. This is a true fantasy head. Like, I couldn't have my quarterback and running back being on the same team.
Yeah, that's it.
You could have the QB and wide receiver because you get double points, but you can't have those guys eating each other.
That's true. That's true. Baylor's turnaround last year coincided greatly with Jake Spavital's like, oh shit, give Bryson Washington the ball. And teams are going to key on him more this year, and we'll see if he's able to kind of keep this up and be somebody who's accounted for by the defense week in and week out if he can continue doing it. But Baylor brings back 4 of their 5 offensive line starters. They should have a solid passing offense, so this isn't just like, go into a shell and give Bryson Washington the ball 30 times. I think he's going to catch the ball out of the backfield even better this year. Should be bigger, stronger, faster, all that kind of stuff as he's growing up. Dave Aranda keeps talking about his maturity. And that's what kept him off the field a couple of years ago when he was a freshman coming out of Franklin. But he's gotten better in the class. I think he's gotten better practice habits, showing up on time, just all that stuff that sometimes young players have to figure out. Bryson Washington, Le'Veon Moss as my running backs. I feel pretty good about where I'm at here.
Yeah, I'm going to take it to the G5 again. I think I've got 2 G5 guys in my first 4 picks. I'm going Lincoln Perry from Texas State. This one's risky because he shares the backfield, which is a lot of these guys, like we're mentioning. But I think Perry is already a team captain. He looked amazing in the Armed Forces Bowl with that touchdown run against North Texas that sealed the game, and then threw the football, I think, 100 yards into the stands. So it just shows like he is a true program guy. And I think he's going to be the lead back of this crew. And by the way, GJ Kinney likes to run the rock. I know he's a former quarterback and a guy who likes to throw the ball around, but they are almost more 50-50 than most of these teams in Texas, I would argue.
Yeah, I mean, Texas State led the state in rushing last year, average per game. Texas State runs the ball a lot more than they're given credit for. GJ Kinney's a Gus Malzahn guy. Right. So like he's going to run the football. It's not true air raid in that kind of way. Like it very much is spread, run the rock. So I love that pick. Crowded backfield, but I think that's the norm in college football now, in all football. Like you just don't see those bell cows anymore. It's not Ricky Williams back in the day running the ball 35 times for 200 and something yards and 5 touchdowns. Like that just doesn't happen. It's going to be by committee. If there's a guy that I would have thought about instead, was Dean Connors.
He was on there for me. He was on my radar, especially when I found out he's wearing number 44. And then I was like, I'm all in.
Just because of like how many passes he's going to catch out of the backfield. Like even if it's not right, like he's not going to be the whole plane like he was at Rice. Like he's not going to have that kind of production. But I still think he's going to get a lot. He's going to be the third down back. And Houston's going to, I don't know. That's the thing with Houston is like their play style. They may not be a very fast moving team. We'll see what they do offensively, but Dean Connors is the one from like what we're doing here. Dean Connors is the one where it's like, he could have a big year and we could look back and be like, we should have gone that direction.
All right. So I'm already lost in the snake again. We're at wide receiver now. Who's going first? Is this you?
I am first here. I am going to pair my quarterback with my wide receiver and take Caleb Douglas from Texas Tech.
I really like how your team's shaping up right here. I got to do some work.
One of the more underrated skill position players in Texas last year, Josh Kelly was their leading wide receiver. And so Caleb Douglas didn't get a ton of hype. It's not like Texas Tech was playing for the Big 12 championship. So, but I think he's the best wide receiver returning in the state. Josh Cameron from Baylor might be up there as well. Mac Leftwich likes to throw the ball around. He does like to run the ball, but I do think with Behren Morton, like they're going to be a pass-heavy squad. Caleb Douglas there with a solid wide receiver room, so it's not like you can just put 2 guys on Caleb Douglas and call it a day. I think he's going to get plenty of man-to-man coverage. I think he's going to take advantage of it. I think he's going to have a big year. Leftwich likes to get more vertical in the passing game than Zach Kitley does at times. So I'm going to go with Caleb Douglas from Texas Tech.
It's a great pick. Yeah, he did get overshadowed a little bit, but him and Josh Kelly last year, I looked it up today. They were the first Tech wide receiver duo to each go over 800 yards since 2018. So he was just as much of a force, not just as much as Josh Kelly, but like he was very good last year. All right. I'm going to pair my quarterback with my wide receiver as well, get those double points. I'm going Josh Cameron. What a story, guy from Cedar Park. I know you're very familiar with that, Craven. He was in a state championship game a couple years ago, worked his way up from walk-on, well, first at Trinity, then walk-on, then now star wide receiver. I just think he's such a crisp route runner. I think he's kind of one of the heartbeats of that team. And I liked the connection he had with Sawyer Robertson last year, and I'm banking on that connection for this upcoming year on my fantasy team.
Love that pick. And Ashton Hawkins, his JUCO waiver still up in the air, hearing that probably not overly optimistic with that. I mean, who knows, right? Nobody knows what's happening anymore, but I would lean towards not getting that year of eligibility if I can read the tea leaves correctly. And that's even more production, more targets, more touches for Josh Cameron.
All right, I'm taking a big swing here on my second wide receiver pick. I'm going Ryan Wingo.
I like it.
I'm looking at the All Texas team right now, and you can get this in your Dave Campbell's Texas Football 2025 magazine. And I'm staring DeAndre Moore Jr. in the face on the first team offense. And there's just something in my gut that's telling me I think Ryan Wingo might be the breakout star on this team. I agree that DeAndre Moore should be the pick because he had a lot more production last year, but I could see DeAndre Moore doing the same this year and Ryan Wingo just taking that massive step. I'm betting on the traits, and I'm betting on a new connection with Arch. It's exciting. I don't know. I feel excited making this pick, and I'm an adrenaline junkie. What can I say?
Yeah, I think the upside is huge there. I think with DeAndre Moore, one, it felt like he was a pretty clutch player. He came up with big moments, but you kind of know maybe he's like a high floor, lower ceiling type player where Ryan Wingo could emerge as one of the top 5-10 wide receivers in college football. Like if Arch Manning has the type of season I think both of us think he's capable of having, and Wingo hits his ceiling, like he was overshadowed, by Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, even a Cam Coleman, but he's part of that wide receiver group that's really, really good. I mean, he could end up being far and away the best wide receiver in the state by the end of this year.
Yeah. I think the way the comp I'd make is like DeAndre Moore is like a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. It's like, exactly what you're going to get. It's going to be great. Like it's going to be awesome. But Ryan Wingo is kind of like that late night Whataburger where, this could be like something you're talking about for years down the line with your buddies.
Yeah. He could be really, really good. Yeah, I think those are two really good picks for the wide receiver spot there. Again, I took Caleb Douglas first, so this is my second pick with wide receiver. I'm going to knock out my G5 spot, steal some of your quarterback points, and take David Amador the second.
Nice.
Former state champion at Galena Park North Shore. Really good football player. Didn't put up huge numbers last year, but that's because he was injured. Once he was back and in the starting lineup, he was far and away the most productive offensive player for UTSA. Great chemistry, obviously, with Owen McCown. Seems full go going into this year, been healthy during the offseason, which has been huge for him. As we talked about earlier, UTSA is going to be in a lot of shootouts. They're going to throw the ball around a lot. I think David Amador is poised to be an all-American Conference player. We got to get used to not saying AAC. It's now just the American Conference. But I think that's going to be big, and I will take Amador.
Yeah, what do you think of that new American logo?
I don't know. I'm not a very visual person, so I can't even tell you I remember that they had a new logo. I saw they got like an eagle, like a mascot also.
It's an eagle strutting.
Yeah, I like the shortened to American and take out athletic in terms of like in the American, because I think that's what like most of us called it anyway. But from an abbreviation standpoint, I liked AAC more than AC. It doesn't feel real when I did it some today. I'm doing the power poll. I wrote it today, and it was like North Texas can compete in the AC for, and it's like, it doesn't even seem like a real thing.
I don't even know if you can. I think it's got to be North Texas can compete in the American.
Yeah. Every single time I reference it from like UTSA to Rice to North, I don't know. It just seems like I like the abbreviations. And now I think you might be right. It probably reads better as just the American.
Yeah. I don't know. That'll be something us journalists have to figure out. Stay tuned for what we decide there.
Yeah.
All right. We got one tight end each that we get to pick. So do I go for it?
Yep, you're first.
Caught in the snake. Jeez.
You're first.
For as much fantasy as I play, you think I'd be better at this.
Right. Yeah. I'm surprised.
I am going SMU tight end RJ Maryland. This one, okay, risky on multiple accounts because he's coming back from injury. But I did see the Dallas Morning News reported that he's ahead of the recovery time, will start fall camp. So that's really good sign for Mustang fans. But also because Matthew Hibner is there. And Matthew Hibner was a really good tight end in RJ Maryland's absence. I could see SMU potentially running more 12 personnel with both of them on the field. RJ Maryland was such a difference maker last year when he was healthy. He really became their de facto leading receiver, and I think he could do that again this year. I think he's the most talented pass catcher on SMU's entire team. So I'm going to go with RJ Maryland.
Yeah, I think he could. Not only will they play some 12 personnel where they're both lining up like tight ends, I think he's going to be kind of their third wide receiver in a lot of sets. Like Romello Brinson, Jordan Hudson are the only true established experienced wide receivers that they're bringing back. Like they're probably going to count on some true freshmen like Jalen Cooper and Dalen Singleton. We'll see what Ymir Knight, the transfer is. But I think if they're in 13 or they're in 11 personnel and they got 3 wide receivers out there, I wouldn't be surprised if Brinson, Hudson, and Maryland are the 3 wide receivers with Hibner as the tight end. So I think that's a really good pick. I think he's going to put up big numbers, especially if he's healthy. That injury happened early enough last year. I think it was the second, third game, right? Like it was pretty early in the season. So he has had a long time to rehab it. It's a contract year, with the NFL draft and just getting healthy. And then again, with Kevin Jennings, their chemistry is huge. Like you could see it early in the year, like that the tight end is a lot of time a young quarterback's best friend. I think RJ Maryland's going to have a big time year. I'm going to go with Tanner Kozel.
Great pick
from Houston. Connor Wigman. The lasting impression I've always had of Connor Wigman is throwing it to Donovan Green when they were both true freshmen and thinking, oh, these two are going to be awesome. And now neither one of them are at Texas A&M, which is an indictment on Jimbo Fisher and just that previous tenure. But I think Wigman likes the tight end. I know Slade Nagel, the offensive coordinator, loves using the tight end. Willie Fritz, I think by definition, looks like a guy who wants to use the tight end. Like that just seems like a position of importance for that type of coach. So I think he's going to have a big year. Had like almost 100 catches in the MAC last year. Had a short stop in Wisconsin. I think he's going to have a big year for Houston, who obviously needs weapons. Steven Johnson out wide. They brought in some transfers at wide receiver. But he seems like the tight end seems like the most established productive player that you can count on.
He was PFF's 4th ranked tight end and 4th nationally in receptions per game with 7.8. Does that short stint at Wisconsin for a spring, does that worry you at all?
Kind of. I'd like to know more there. I honestly don't know that story. But
it is a little weird.
It is a little weird. I wonder if some of it's schematic, right? If he got there and was like, well, this isn't for me. I don't want to block all day. Y'all aren't throwing the ball as much as I thought y'all were going to. Maybe
it's tough to go from 94 catches to you're an inline tight end,
right?
Blocking for Ron Dane back there.
Right. So I wonder if some of that was like, oh, Phil Longo's not here anymore. This isn't the offense I watched on tape last year. This isn't for me. I'm going to go to Houston. And so maybe it's just that. And at that point, it doesn't really bother me too much. But yeah, I just think Wigman needs a go-to target. And it feels like tight end is a spot that could be, especially one who's already proven productive at the college level, even if it is a step below in the MAC.
All right, let's go to the defensive lines. Craven, you get the first pick here. We get one defensive line each. Okay, so let's talk this out. Sack has got to count for 3 points.
Yeah, sack and tackles for loss. Maybe tackle for loss is 2, tackles is 1.
TFL is 2. Tackles 1, sacks 3.
Yeah.
And then there's some intercept. Well, we'll get to interception when we get to the defensive backs. Those guys.
Yeah, you get points for forced fumbles or fumbled recoveries or something like that.
Maybe 2 for each, a forced fumble and a fumble recovery.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. So with that in mind, I think we'll both be picking edge players to try to get those sacks.
Yeah. I'm first here. I'm going Colin Simmons.
Yeah, I was about to, when you looked at your paper, I was like, what are you thinking about right now. I mean, there's one guy here.
I really like another player that I'm not going to mention because I don't want to just give it away here. I
Guessed him.
I wouldn't have minded having the second pick at this one. But Colin Simmons is just a freak of nature. Like, he may be the best defensive end in the country by the end of the season. Texas has a lot of pass rushers. Like Trey Moore is another guy that can get you 10 sacks. Ethan Burke should have an improved step, and I think he could have a big year. Colin Simmons is going to get a lot of attention, so maybe his production numbers don't match his ability. But to me, he's like a freak Micah Parsons type. He's just different, and you have to take him if he's right there in front of you.
Yeah, he's the top returning pass rusher per PFF, and I was reading Horns 247 today. Alex Okafor, UT alum, awesome player there. He called Simmons the most naturally gifted pass rusher Texas had in a long time. He was the first Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year award winner in Texas program history. I think that's a great pick. Let's see if I guessed who you would have also been happy with. I'm going Texas A&M defensive end Cassius Howell.
Yeah,
was that it?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better about the pick. I was thinking I was going to drop some name. You'd be like, nope, that wasn't even close. That was not even near the range I thought.
Yeah.
All right. So in his debut as the de facto number one war daddy guy after all those former defensive linemen left for the NFL at the Las Vegas Bowl, he had 5 tackles, a sack, and an interception. And then last year in limited action, granted, it was a 91.4 Pro Football Focus rating, which was second best among pass rushers in the SEC. I fell in love with the measurables. I fell in love with Mike Elko being the head coach. I fell in love with the production he had last year and the opportunity he has this year, along with Rylan Kennedy. I'm going Cassius Howell as a predicted breakout star. Also because Jay Arnold, was super high on him, former Aggie defensive lineman. So I'm going to take Jay's word for it.
Yeah, he mentioned him. Elko mentioned him today at the first press conference of camp as being a player that's really stepped forward and been a leader. When I went there for the magazine, they gave me an offensive player and a defensive player, and the defensive player was Howell. And I think that says a lot. That usually means the coaching staff thinks a big year's coming up for the players that they give me. So I think he's going to be really good. I think, David Bailey from Texas Tech was one that was also in the running there. I think he's going to have a big year. Maybe a Devin Deal from TCU, another one as well. I don't know how big of numbers he'll put up. But yeah, I think we got the two best edge. I think those are the two best edge rushers in the state. And so I think those were two good picks.
Okay, now going to linebackers. It is one pick each here as well. I know the linebacking group in Texas is stacked. For me, this isn't even a question for me, though. I'm going Anthony Hill Jr. as the linebacker. Not only is he the best linebacker, I think he might be the best overall football player in the state. And 113 tackles, 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and an interception last year. He just fills up the stat sheet. He can do a little bit of everything. So I'm going Anthony Hill here. Was not even a question for me.
I think Anthony Hill's the best football player in the state of Texas.
Yes.
Like if we were just doing rank your top 20 pure football players that are going to be playing college football this year in the Lone Star State, I think Anthony Hill would be number one. I think he'd be the best running back in the state if he wanted to be that.
Dude, Ben Ryan, he was a beast.
Yeah, he's just a freak of nature. He's just an incredible football player, a joy to watch. I think this is a sideline conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Hill gets Micah Parsons in the NFL.
I could see it. I wonder what their measurables, how they compare.
Because I think that there's a reality where NFL scouts in today's football say you're a hell of an off-ball linebacker, but you're a NFL Hall of Famer edge rusher type potential. And we've seen it with a body type closer to yours and Micah Parsons. Like you don't have to be 6'7", 260 to be an elite edge rusher. Come rush the ball, come rush the passer, and it's more money. And so I think Anthony Hill would be down for it too if he could figure that out.
So Micah Parsons as a freshman at Penn State in 2018 was 6'3", 240. And Anthony Hill this year is 6'3", 238. So I'm trying to see like how much bigger Micah Parsons got, but it doesn't seem like he got that much bigger.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't win with bulk.
No.
Right? Like some of this may be how strong Anthony
He's
Hill
only
is.
245 now. He's only 245 now. Not only. I mean, that's still a huge man, but I'm saying he's not like 270.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Hill can get to 6'3", 250.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and still probably keep his speed. We'll see what his measurables are. But yeah, I just think it's something to watch. Like, I would not be surprised if Anthony Hill morphs into more 3-4 outside linebacker or smaller defensive end like a Micah Parsons, more so than an off-ball typical middle linebacker.
All right, give me your linebacker pick for this year.
There's some great ones. Torian York at Texas A&M, Keaton Thomas at Baylor, Jacob Rodriguez at Texas Tech come to mind. I
think that this linebacking crew, I think Anthony Hill's the clear number one, but number two, there's so many guys that you could pick here.
Yeah.
This is a tough one.
So I'll walk you through Torian York doesn't always play on third down. And I don't know if that was just because of last year. Maybe he had some injuries. He wasn't their third down linebacker a lot of times. I think Texas Tech, like Jacob Rodriguez, is another solid pick. But with that improved defensive line, I'm assuming he doesn't get to make as many plays as he did last year. That like they don't get through Lee Hunter or Skylar Howard or Anthony Holmes or those guys up front. So he doesn't have as much in production. So I'm going to go with Keaton Thomas. One of the better linebackers in the country last year, very productive. I think Baylor's stats information team do a good job of getting those guys tackles. Like Matt Jones and him were high up on the list. Baylor's defensive scheme is kind of set up for the linebackers to feast. And the defensive linemen, in a lot of ways, this is reductive. But the defensive linemen, in a lot of ways, against the run, are there to eat up blocks and let the linebackers go roam free and make tackles. And he did all of that last year with a club on his hand for most of the season. Like he should have 2 free hands this year to go make plays. Keaton Thomas, linebacker, Baylor.
Okay. Now the last position group is a defensive back, can be a corner or a safety. We got to update our scoring. So interceptions, we haven't said what those are. Should those be sacks 3? Should interception be 3?
Yeah, I think so.
What about a PBU 2?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay, that's all I can think of right now in additional stats.
And tackles is 1, like for everybody.
Tackles 1, yep. Tackle all apply. Tackles TFL 2, sack 3. These guys can get sacks 2. All right, give me your DB.
Isaiah Nwakwobia.
Yeah, I wanted him real bad.
SMU, very productive safety. Plays in the box, going to get plenty of tackles, has gotten better at being a ball hawk, can get you interceptions, pass breakups. Just a dog. He's a leader, going to be on the field every single snap. Has been really durable. I think safety is probably the better way to go here. I've thought about that. We probably should have done one cornerback, one safety.
Yeah.
If you want to do it on the fly, we could do that. But I do think safety is probably the better overall bet here, or the safer overall bet here for defensive back, the way we're scoring it. So I'm going to go Nwakwobia from SMU.
I am down to go CB on the fly because I'm going to pick a safety here too. You want to get those extra tackles, but also want to give those quarterbacks some love. Nwakwobia, I mean, I was going through like his SMU bio. And shout out SMU. They're always putting the all Texas teams from Dave Campbell's on there.
Yeah.
So appreciate y'all up in Dallas. He was 2023 Dave Campbell's best defensive back, all ACC first team in 2024. He was also first team all Texas in 2024 as well. One of 2 guys on SMU's team last year with 100 or more tackles, also had 6 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. He is a straight up dog. But you know who else is a straight up dog? It's Michael Taaffe. Texas safety. Last year, a lot of people debated, or he debated with himself, like, is he going to go to the NFL or is he going to come back for one more year? And I think when they lost to Ohio State in the college football playoff semifinals, He made up his mind then that he's coming back for one more year for unfinished business, and that should be a scary sight for a lot of college football. Just makes plays everywhere. He's a ball hawk like you see in A&M. He comes up and hits people. I think he's going to fill up the stat sheet. Go Michael Taft.
You want to go first with corner?
Yeah, I'll go. I can go first with corner. This was going to be my pick if we didn't open up a cornerback slot. I was going to go for my defensive back, Will Lee, the third at Texas A&M. I'm going to go for it here at corner. He was, I believe, fifth in the SEC last year with, I think 10 pass breakups. Let me make sure. Yeah, 10 pass breakups. When Mike Elko was freaking out about the pass defense, it was not because of Will Lee, right? Like, he's a known guy. Now they've put a lot of other transfers and hopefully some guys taking a second-year step around him. But that's the blanket, man. I'm going with the blanket.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. Former Kansas State football player, but was excellent last year for A&M. I think he's the best corner in the state. A really good football player. You know what's tough about corner and these I've always had coaches tell me, like, the more tackles a corner has, the worse they are.
Yeah.
And so, like, if Will Lee is the best corner and A&M is curious about what happens at second corner, because, like, I'm doing this is kind of a weird thing. I'm doing a position battles to watch that aren't quarterbacks across the state. And of the 13 teams, I think 7 of them are corner. There's a lot of open battles at cornerback across the state, including at Texas A&M, where the cornerback position opposite of Will Lee is going to be probably Julian Humphrey or Des Ricks. Maybe a Tyreek Chappelle moves back over there if they don't like those two guys. But, like, if we knew who that starter was, maybe that would be a better pick.
True.
Because they're going to get tested. Like, that's what's so hard, I think, with corner with these conversations.
What you're banking on is the pass breakups and interceptions.
Right.
That overshadows the lack of tackles here.
Right. Yeah, but if he only sees like 5 balls a game, I don't know. It's
Also
just right. Like, it's like Darrelle Revis never put up real stats because, like, nobody ever threw him that way. Not that Will Lee is the best corner ever, but I just find that interesting with corner stuff. It's, like, always hard to judge for, like, all-American teams and all-conference teams and stuff, because just because a guy doesn't have stats doesn't mean he's not really good. In fact, like, that could mean that he is really good.
So with that in mind, that whoever you're picking at quarterback sucks, who is your guy?
Right. So it's like, do you pick the second corner at a place or not? I'm going to go with Bryce Pollock from Texas
Tech. Does not suck.
Really, really fast. From Mississippi State, so he's played big-time football before. I think Tech's going to score a lot of points, and that means you're going to throw the ball a lot against Texas Tech. Their linebackers are really good. I think their front is really good. And so it does feel like, even though they've reworked most of that defense, the secondary might still be the weak link. It's going to be improved, but I think it still might be the weak link. It's the Big 12, so you're going to throw the ball a decent amount. And so I think he may, because, like, I think Malik Muhammad is probably the second best corner in the state, but I don't know how much he's going to get tested. Like, I don't know how much people are going to throw the ball to him. So I'm going to go with Pollock. I think Texas Tech's going to see a higher rate of passes go his way than Muhammad will get passes his way.
All right, I've wrote down the teams. Let's do a post-draft grades. Favorite thing about the NFL draft or fantasy drafts, grade the picks before we know what they do in the season. All right, so quarterbacks. You have TCU's Josh Hoover, Texas Tech's Behren Morton. I have UTSA's Owen McCown, Baylor's Sawyer Robertson. I think Owen McCown was a reach looking back on it. I took a massive swing on the second overall pick there. Not that I'm saying he's not a good pick, but I don't know if the value was all there. And then Sawyer Robertson wasn't even on my board because I just assumed I wasn't going to get him. And I just kind of panic picked him right there. So
you got rattled early.
Yeah. And that you'll see in the running backs, that really transferred over to the running backs too. Let's do that. Le'Veon Moss, Bryson Washington for you. I think you won running backs. I go CJ Baxter, Lincoln Perry. I lost my mind here for sure. I got rattled with Sawyer Robertson. I didn't know if I was going to get him or not. on the fly pick Sawyer Robertson, which is, I think, a good pick. He's fast too. He can run.
Sawyer Robertson's great.
CJ Baxter, a lot of injury concerns. Lincoln Perry, crowded backfield and some unknowns about that offense with a new offensive coordinator. But running back's a tough one this year, I think, in the state of Texas.
It is.
Okay, now to wide receivers. This is where I start to pick it back up again. I go Josh Cameron, Ryan Wingo. You've got Caleb Douglas and David Amador. I believe is David Amador. David Amador, that's a hell of a one pick for G6. Right there. If you're going to go with your one G6 requirement, touchdown Dave is the way to go. I thought Caleb Douglas was a great pick. I thought he was fantastic last year and will only be better as the wide receiver one. There's some guys who you're like, that guy's a wide receiver two, and I don't know if he can be a wide receiver one. I think Caleb Douglas was a wide receiver two last year that could be a wide receiver one.
Yeah, especially in that offense. Yeah.
Tight ends. I go with more traditional pick. SMU's RJ Maryland. You go with Houston's Tanner Koziel, who I think that's a name not many are familiar with, but I think that could be a really solid pick. A security blanket for Connor Wegman. Like catch machine at Ball State last year. All right, now defense. This is where, okay, so the D-line and the linebackers, I think we both picked the number 1 and 2 guy. So you picked Colin Simmons first. He's the number 1. I go Cassius Howell. I think that's the clear-cut number 2. Then for linebackers, I got Anthony Hill because I went first. I think you got the second best guy in Keaton Thomas. Again, Torian York and Jacob Rodriguez are both right there, but Torian York doesn't always play on third down. Like you mentioned with Texas Tech's defensive line, they're going to make it harder for Jacob Rodriguez to get as many stats as he had last year. I think you might have won the secondary. Isaiah Nokobia, it's really hard to find a guy with more production than him. Michael Taff is a ball player, but I think Isaiah Nokobia gets a little more stats than he does. And then speaking of no stats, I don't know if Will Lee the third is going to get any this year because people aren't going to they're going to test that second cornerback a lot. And you rounded out with Bryce Pollock. So is it Pollock?
I think it's Pollock, but there's 2 O's, so it throws me off a little bit.
All right, we'll go to the pronunciation guide after this episode. Yeah, the light keeps turning off. Get out of the office.
Yeah.
So I'm drafting here.
Yeah. It's like it's 4:43. Nobody's here.
Well, that'll do it for the Dave Campbell's College Football Podcast. Fantasy football draft, guys. We're going to be doing it at regular quarterly intervals this year, checking in on how our teams are doing. We'll post a graphic out there that I'm sure everyone will agree with wholeheartedly. I already see some holes, mainly an Arch Manning-sized hole that's not on here.
Yeah,
and we're gonna
have to really make the graphic sing. Like make it in bigger font that this is a fantasy, like this is based on production. But even still, I will listen to any and all gripes from the Texas fans about not picking Arch Manning because it's very fair to hear about that one. Yeah. All right, guys. For Mike Craven, senior writer Dave Campbell's, I am Carter Yates signing off, and we will see you next week.